All right, today I'm going to talk about multiplying decimals since we didn't get a lot of time to talk about it in class. So the first thing I want to show you is this decimal grid. I want to show you how to model multiplying decimals and show you kind of the reason why the answers come out the way they are. These decimal grids help model multiplying of decimals, and also we can use them for fractions, but we'll be looking at that later on. All right, so each large square that you see here represents one whole. Each row across and each column represents 1/10. I want you to notice that each little square is 1/100th. So if I go across here, I've got 10 hundredths, and that represents 1/10. And I've got 10 of these rows, so that's 10 tenths, which represents my one whole. So make sure you understand that there's 100 little squares. Each one is 1/100th. Each row is 1/10. And then all the rows together are 10 tenths. That's one whole. All right, I'm going to use some shading techniques that will help you see this problem. I'm going to model the problem 0.7 times 0.8. All right, for 0.7, I'm going to use green. So I'm going to shade 7/10, or 7 of these rows. I think that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this represents 7/10, and this pretty green. All right, and then I'm going to do 0.8. That's going to be 8 of the rows, or 8 of the columns, and this time I'm going to go up and down instead of side to side, because I'm going to show you what happens when we merge these two decimals together. So I'm going to do 0.8, so that means I'm going to have to do 8 columns to represent 8/10. And I believe that's 8/10 right there. Now, when I multiply these together, you'll see that the overlap, you can clearly see the overlap. That's actually 56 squares, or 56 hundredths, and that's actually my answer when I multiply. So 0.7 times 0.8 is 0.56, or 56 hundredths, which are these little squares that have both the green and the pink in them. Now, I want you to get the big picture here. Now, if I say I take half of one, half of this one whole would be a half. So if I'm going to take half of something that's smaller than a whole, then it's going to be smaller than a half. I've got to look at the big picture here. What I'm really doing when I multiply these decimals that are lower than or less than 1 is I'm taking part of a part. All right, so this is a part of a part. So it's going to be smaller, because you may have wondered, why is the answer after multiplying smaller than the numbers that I'm multiplying? But that's why. If I'm taking part of a part, then the answer is going to be smaller. All right, so that is a model, and hopefully will help you with the big picture. I'm going to work a couple of problems to show you what that looks like in the actual multiplication problem. All right, here are my problems. I'm just going to do one at a time. Now, when I multiply decimals, the easiest thing to do is to multiply them like the decimal's not there. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to just take that decimal away, and I'm just going to do 9 times 7. And that equals 63. Now, obviously, 9 times 0.7 is not 63, so I've got to put my decimal in there. So what I do to put my decimal in is go back to the numbers I'm multiplying, and I see that there are no decimals here, but there's one decimal place here. So I'm going to use one decimal place, and I'm going to move one decimal place from the right of my answer, just one to the left. So my answer is actually 6.3. Now, if I were to estimate 0.7 of 9, I know half of 9 is 4.5, so it's going to be more than 4.5. So that sounds about right. Now think about it. If my decimal were anywhere else, if it were 0.63, I know I'm way off. And if it's 63 wholes, I'm way off. So I know 6.3 is a good answer. I know my decimal's in the right place, because that's what we're always fearful of, is our decimal in the right place. All right, let's do another example. First, I'm going to do a little estimating. This is about 2 times 1, so I'm guessing my answer is going to be around 2 or 3, something like that. So let's just see what happens. 1.6, actually, I'm just going to just say 16 times 15. Let's do that. And let's do our multiplying. $240. All right, now I'm going to go back to the numbers that I'm multiplying. I have 1 decimal place here, 1 here, so 2 total, 2 decimal places from the right. Move it over 1 and 2, so my answer is 2.4. Now you could say 2.40, but that 0 at the end has no value, so I can drop it if I need to. So I can just leave it at 2.4, and yeah, it's around my estimate here of 2. If my decimal were here, 0.24, that's nowhere near that. If my decimal were here, 24, that's nowhere near that either. So I know that my decimal's in the right place. All right, next problem. I'm going to multiply like the decimal's not there. So go ahead and do that multiplication with me if you've got your paper with you. I get 1394. Go back to the numbers I'm multiplying. I've got 1 decimal place there. I've got 1 here. But before I do anything else, I'm going to estimate real quick. 3 times 4, just a quick estimate, is 12. So that's my estimate. I'm just going to check it at the end. All right, so I'm going to move it twice. I had 2 decimal places. So from the right, move it to the left. 1, 2. 13.94 is my answer. That's near 12. If you think that's far away, put the decimal somewhere else, and then you'll see they're far away. 1.394 is really far away, and 139.4 is really far away. So I know my decimal's in the right place because it's in the ballpark. All right, last one I want to try with you. 762 times 54. Remember, we're just going to multiply like the decimal's not there, and when we do multiply numbers, we write justify. So just multiply like normal. All right, we're going to do the multiplication. And then bring them down. 41,148. I'm going to look at my numbers that I'm multiplying. There's 2 decimal places there. There's 1 here. Let's do that quick estimation while we're at it. 8 times 5 is my estimate. So I know it's going to be around 40. That's my estimate. So 41,148, where does my decimal go? Well, I've got 2 here and 1 here, so 3 decimal places together. So from the right, start at the right, go over 1, 2, 3. My answer is 41.148. That was near my estimate, so I know I'm good. All right, so your assignment is going to be 3-3 practice odds. So try it like I've tried it here. Make sure you do a little estimating just to check your answer. It doesn't take very long. It takes a few seconds just to make sure your answer makes sense, your decimal's in the right place. And if you have any questions, just let me know.